Hello everyone, Ken Francis, MassageBF.com. It's Sunday, December 6th. Uh, I was going to wait to get my new rifle. I was going to wait like 4 or 5 more months to buy it. But President Obama just keeps making me nervous, and he just keeps making a whole bunch of other people nervous. So, I went ahead and paid for it, and I have it now. There are a bunch of other videos about this rifle, and there's videos on there people show you how to disassemble them and how to break them down. In other videos, I've showed people how to disassemble a handgun. This is the Smith & Wesson SD9, value enhanced. Basically, I'm gonna disassemble this rifle, and even though I learned how to disassemble this rifle on the internet using YouTube, but I really want to. One of my biggest reasons for why I make videos is because I want to bridge the gap in between the unknown and the known. One of the biggest concerns that I have before, when I first got into this hobby, was, how do I learn all of this? Because it is very intimidating if you don't know anything about guns, if you don't have somebody, just readily available to help you out and to show you and how to teach you all of this stuff. I got help from a great guy with my handgun. I had somebody that was willing to help me, but sometimes things happen and you just got to go with it. So, but I just watched a 20-minute video on YouTube, and I do have a playlist on my YouTube channel. It's called Cool Gun Videos. I'm gonna add that rifle video to that playlist. The guy clearly has been disassembling and cleaning rifles for a long time now. But I did disassemble my rifle completely before making this video, and I'm going to go ahead and do it again. And I do have some gun oil in my car, but I don't want to clean the rifle. I did see how clean it is, and there is some oil, like residue, on my fingers from disassembling it. But it's not that complicated. It doesn't have to be very intimidating, and that's really what I want to tackle. Is I want to help people understand that they don't have to be intimidated by guns. Because I think that everybody should be armed, at least with a handgun. In my opinion, every American should have some gun knowledge, for sure, and should have at least one firearm. I don't believe in our society. The entire world has always had criminals. The entire world has always had crazy people. The entire world has always had, people that are just short-tempered. The fact that the industry of, people who call themselves therapists, and people who, shrinks, for example, that industry should not be thriving as much as it is today, because there's not that many crazy people. There are people who need to learn how to control themselves, and there are people who need to learn how to exercise self-control, and they need to stop being lazy. But shrinks have been declaring and have been diagnosing people improperly on a massive level. And, there's a lot of money in medication. There's also a lot of lawsuits pertaining to medication that pass the FDA, and they're prescribed to young children, they're prescribed to adults. And I just don't like shrinks. I don't like the industry. I don't like therapists. I don't know how they call themselves doctors. I really don't. I don't know how they call themselves doctors. I don't know who the hell they think they are. But that industry should not be flourishing as much as it is. There's not that many crazy people in the world. There's always been crazy people. Okay, but there's not that many. That industry should not be thriving as much as it is. Okay, but it really is just a testament of the corruption in the government. It really is a testament of how messed up things are. And a lot of it can be contributed to the fact that people are not being humble. They're being the exact opposite. They're being arrogant. And so, you know, I support open carry because open carry can get even a crazy person behave himself. And I know that to be true. You know, I'm 100% certain that gun control leads to more deaths. Open carry leads to polite society. I strongly believe that, and I know why I believe that, and I'm probably always going to believe that, no matter what. And, you know, it is Sunday, December 6, 2015. You know, there's been a lot of interesting things going on in this country. But, you know, as always, I want to make sure I don't ramble off into infinity and beyond. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prop my camera up against a box of tissues. And let's make a video. Alright, fair enough. I think that'll work. Now, just like with all firearms, and, you know, again, I literally watched one video on this subject. I watched one video on how to disassemble this and how to put it back together again, how to clean it, but I don't have a rifle. I don't have a proper cleaning kit yet, so I'm not going to clean it. I'm just going to disassemble it, and I'm going to reassemble it back together again. And we're going to be using two different types of screwdrivers. This is one of them, okay? Very standard, very simple. And then here's the other. Again, very standard, very simple. You got a Phillips, and then you got the opposite, okay? So, just two different screwdrivers. There's actually going to be 4 different screws, but there's one part that I'm not going to be taking off the rifle. I'm just going to leave it on there. I believe it's called the spring, based on the video that I watched. I'm just going to leave that piece on there. So really, I'm going to have, you know, a few different parts laying out on the bed here, and then I'm going to have 3 different screws. One of my biggest concern, because this is my very first rifle. I haven't even shot it yet, but this is my very first rifle. And one of my biggest concerns is, you know, like, am I going to have a whole bunch of screws laying around, you know, different sizes? You know, I mean, I was really concerned about that. But no, it's actually not that bad. And of course, there is a cute little puppy dog in this house. And so she will eat anything, I swear to God. So, you know, I left her out of my room, and I closed the door, made sure that it was closed nice and tight, because she knows how to open it if I don't do that. So, you know, if you have a dog, don't disassemble this, or a child, don't make sure that you put them away in a safe place before you disassemble this. This is basically a Vanguard. It's a Weatherby Vanguard. There's a few different types of Weatherby Vanguards. I'm still learning which one this is. My theory, and I have not been able to confirm this, but based on the way that the stock looks and based on the way that the rifle is built, I'm thinking that it's a Weatherby Vanguard Series 2. In fact, it's definitely a Weatherby Vanguard for sure. I mean, clearly it's engraved right on the rifle here. But on the actual tags that the pawn shop had on this gun, the tags actually said 8mm Remington Magnum. And I didn't catch this before I paid it off and went to the pawn shop to pay it off and get it. But on the rifle here, it actually says 7mm Remington Mag. Well, no. it says use only, yeah, it's a 7mm Remington mag. It's abbreviated, but it's actually engraved onto the steel barrel. We've got a synthetic stock here, but it's engraved on the steel barrel. So of course I'm not going to go off of what Easy Pawn's tag says. I'm going to go off of what the rifle says, because it's basically tattooed on there by the manufacturer. So naturally that's what I'm going to be going off of when I go and buy some ammo, which is actually a pleasant surprise, because when I went into Walmart today to buy this sling and to buy my rifle case, which I have on the bed here, I decided to stop by the ammo case at Walmart just to see if they had 8mm Remington mag, and they didn't. They had 7mm Remington mag. But I actually thought that I was going to have to go searching for the ammo or buy it online. So this is actually a pleasant surprise that this rifle is actually a 7mm and not an 8, you know. So I'm really happy about that, because Walmart has some really good deals on ammo. So, you know, got my sling here, and of course I was able to put that on. Even though this is my first rifle, I was able to buy a sling from Walmart. They had some cheap ones, but I went ahead and I bought something that was half decent. This sling was basically $20, and it's built a little bit better than the other slings, and I was able to put it on. And the rifle basically has these designated areas where the actual harness that the sling comes with fits on there perfectly. So my best guess is that rifles have the designated areas where you can mount your sling. You just gotta, look for them, but it's pretty easy to find them. And so it's not a matter of tying it on there and, trying to put it into a bow tie or not. There's actual places where your connections on your sling make a connection with the rifle. And you've got one on both sides right here. So, and of course, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to want to make sure that your rifle's cleared. I've already made sure that the rifle's cleared multiple times. So, but really, let me go ahead and put these stands away here. So, really on this Weatherby Vanguard, you've got a you can fit 3 rounds down here underneath this rifle. Alright, and there's going to be this little button right here underneath your trigger guard, and you can just kind of pop that open, and you can see that there's no bullets in there at all. I'm going to go ahead and put that back down, close it back up, and of course you can semi-pull that bolt there, and of course there's no bullets in here. So, I mean, it's real simple. Just like in the case of a handgun, you're going to pull the magazine out, and then you're going to go ahead and pull out that bolt as well. Or on a handgun, you're going to basically pull out the magazine and then cock it, essentially, just to make sure that there's not a round in the magazine. You're, unlike a, Glock 19, or unlike the Smith & Wesson SD 9mm, you're not going to need to pull the trigger to disassemble this weapon. It's not going to be that hard to do. So, I don't have to pull the trigger for this. But in the video, basically he said that you want to take off this sling before you disassemble it. But I'm not going to do that. It's not that big of a deal. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to pull out the bolt. So I'm going to kind of move this thing over here to show you something. Right over here, you've got this little, let me make sure I get a good shot of it. So right there, you have this little lever here, and you're going to push down on it to pull out the bolt. And then, of course, you have this lever right over here. This is the safety and fire. So if it's forward, it's on fire. If you pull it back, then it's on safety. I'm just going to go ahead and keep it in the firing. I'm going to keep it forward because I'm not too concerned about that. But, so you basically pull up on this. Okay, bring it back, just like that. and then press down on that lever that I showed you. It's on my left side over here, and you can basically pull that just right out, just like that. And then right here, so I'm pleased to announce, and again, this is a used rifle. Somebody else owned this before I bought it. I got it from the pawn shop, but I'm pleased to announce that I do have a firing pin in the bolt. So you're basically going to hold it like this, okay? And you're basically going to turn it clockwise until you hear it pop out. And then you just pull it right out of the actual firing, or the actual bolt there. And so we have our firing pin. We've got our recoil spring. It's all kind of attached in one piece, okay? And the way that it was described to me is that you're going to want to lubricate any type of metal on metal contact. But again, because I'm not actually cleaning my rifle, I'm going to go ahead and reassemble this. One thing though that I want to point out to you, and I kind of hit a brick wall with this, but if you notice you have these grooves right here. See that? I'm able to put my finger in there. I was actually putting the firing pin and the recoil spring back into the harness here, and I was making a pretty bad mistake. I was actually turning this thing, so you turn it clockwise to pull it out, and you turn it counterclockwise to put it back in. And so you have this metal piece here. You're basically going to push in the black part, okay, so see that? Okay, so you're just going to push in this black part, and then you're going to turn it counterclockwise, of course after you've cleaned it and you've oiled it up properly. And then you're just going to turn it. But see, you're going to stop right there. Okay, see that? Where it's connected there, you got that little silver piece. It looks kind of like an arrow when you look at it closely. You're going to stop right there. You're not going to bring it. If you bring it all the way back down to here, it's going to be a pain in the fucking ass to get this firing pin out, and you're not going to be able to actually put it back in the rifle. So it's very, very important. I hit a brick wall with that. The other guy who I was watching on YouTube, his camera was kind of far away, in my defense, so I did not see that the first time, and so I really want to point that out to you. You'll notice I can kind of shove my finger in there, and you'll see it, even if my camera is not doing a very good job. There's this little opening there. You don't want to turn this all the way. If you try to, it will allow you to, and so that's why I really want to point that out. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull that aside and leave it over there. Alright, so the next step, and again, this isn't very intimidating. It's not that hard to do. But the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and flip the rifle upside down here. And you're going to see two screws. So here's one of them right here, and then you're going to see another one right behind the trigger guard. And so I'm basically going to just take my screwdriver here, and it's a standard type of setup, counterclockwise to take it off, and clockwise to tighten it to put it back on. So real standard, real simple. Let's go ahead and get this other side right here. Alright, and then you'll feel it, like it's going to pretty much pop off really easily there. So it's pretty simple to know. And so let's go ahead and pull this whole assembly off here. This is basically the trigger guard right here. Looks like I didn't loosen up that screw completely, so let me finish doing that. Alright, there we go. So we've got here the opening for the ammo box, and then we got the trigger guard. So you definitely want to make sure that you don't lose these two screws. You're going to have a short one, and then you're going to have a longer one, and the short one on this rifle is going to go in the front. So you'll notice we have this one, and then we have this one. So this one here in my right hand, this one's longer than this one in my left hand. The short one's going to go in the front hole, and the long one's going to go in the back on this rifle. when we reassemble it. But here's the trigger guard, and then we've got the opening for the ammo, because you can fit basically 3 rounds in there at a time. So let's go ahead and put that piece and move it aside there. Alright, so now the whole stock comes off, and then you're going to have this little ammo box that just kind of fits in there, fits in the rifle. So, you know, again, we've got this synthetic stock, which really, it really makes the rifle a lot lighter because it's not a steel stock. We just have a synthetic one. And these things are built really well, so, I mean, it's not going to break unless you try really, really hard to break it. But here's our synthetic stock, so I'm just going to kind of push that aside. Alright, we'll get back to that in a minute. And so basically I'm going to flip this. So we got the barrel here, and we still have our scope. And I did check the barrel. I looked inside of it. It does look pretty clean. So I'm not particularly worried. It looks like this rifle is in very good condition, but I'm not much of an expert. I'm just using my common sense. You know, I don't see really any damage in the rifle at all. Everything seems to be in great condition. And again, as I was taking it apart, I still have it on my hands, but as I was taking it apart before I started making this video, after I was learning from somebody else how to do it online, you know, I got all kinds, I mean, I could still feel it. I've got all kinds of oil here on my hands. So, but yeah, there's going to be a different kind of screw. We've got a Phillips screw here, and I'm going to go ahead and take that one out. I don't know why they use different types of screws. I'm not sure why they did that. But yeah, you're going to notice, you should notice that there's like this, there's like a silver colored frame or glove, I guess I will say, lack of a better term, around the screw here. But so here's our trigger by itself now. And there's this, if you look carefully, there's like this little silver piece. You can barely see that. But I can see why they put that on there. But I just thought that was interesting. Because at first I thought, well, why do they do that? Maybe they just, whoever owned the rifle before, I thought, well, maybe they just like lost the other screw and used this one. You know what I mean? Like I was curious about that, but as it turns out, as far as I can tell, that's actually correct. I don't know why the manufacturer did that, but I'm sure perhaps they had a reason for it. But yeah, and so basically we just have this bare barrel now. And so this piece right here, you can remove this piece, and there's a screw right here. It's all black though, so you can't really see it very well, but there we go. It's kind of coming through. But there's a screw right there. And so, you know, apparently that's called the spring. That's what I got from the video I watched on YouTube, but, you know, I'm not going to remove that. I'm just going to leave that on there. You know, and I'll probably take it off when I actually get a proper cleaning kit for this rifle. I'll take it apart and actually make sure I lube it up and clean it up real good. But this is basically what it looks like when it's just a barrel. And of course I could take the scope off, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave the scope on there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So, you know, we've got like the ammo box. This is not a magazine. This is just an ammo box. And then we got a couple of screws here, and we got the trigger, and then we have the trigger guard, and then of course we have the bolt, and we have the firing pin spring already reassembled in there. So, you know, again, it's not super intimidated, and that's really what I want to target on these videos. Is even though there's other people that show you how to do this stuff, you know, I'm a new guy when it comes to all of this. You know, I bought my first handgun like not even 4 months ago, like not even 4 or 5 months ago. And now I have my first rifle, you know, because I really like to shoot. I really like the guns. You know, I just joined the NRA, but, you know, I didn't have a whole lot of help. So that's that's really what I'm trying to show people. If I can do it, then you can do it. It just takes a little common sense. You know, don't be intimidated by your guns. And of course, watch out for that thing I showed you with this, because if you turn it all the way, it's going to be a pain in the ass. It's going to take a lot more strength to you know, correct your mistakes. So make sure that you don't go all the way with this piece. And you could save yourself a lot of grief that I went through, and I had to grab a wet towel. That's how much strength it took. I could not actually do it with my bare hands. I had to grab a wet towel that I used at the gym today to dry myself off with when I got out of the shower, and I had to literally use that to create more friction because it took that much strength. And under normal circumstances, it's not going to require that much strength, but you're not going to be able to pop this back into the rifle if you don't reassemble it correctly. So just be careful. You're going to feel a significant... It's going to feel like when you move it all the way to the proper location, you're going to feel that there's going to be like a release and then more resistance. Like right now, if I try and turn it without actually pulling, without actually applying enough pressure, it's basically telling me that it's in the proper place. You know, so just be careful. But if you do it wrong, you're going to know when you try and pop it back into the rifle, it's not going to go all the way in. And then you're just going to wind up pulling it out, and you're going to have to figure it out. But yeah, just make sure that you don't twist that thing all the way over as far as you can. You're not going to be happy. Alright, so now what we're going to do to reassemble the rifle, and again, watch how easily I'm able to do this, even though I'm so new at this. You know, just from watching somebody else's videos, from watching an actual expert, you know, do this. But I want to take this trigger right here, all right, and I'm basically going to just kind of pop that on there. And you'll notice this piece right here, and there's like a hole in there. At first, I was trying to shove that piece through the hole, but I quickly realized that it's not gonna work. So this piece right here that comes down, it's actually going to go, it's going to fit perfectly on there when you get it right, okay? But let me flip this thing around to show you what I'm talking about here. So, you know, again, this piece right here, it's actually going to fit right alongside. And of course, you got that screw, which I didn't pull out. That's that third screw right there. I just kind of left it in there. But you got a little tiny hole right here, so it's pretty much obvious up to a certain extent. But that's basically how you're going to put it on there, so that this piece is actually hanging off the side. And that's another thing that in the video that I watched, because the camera was so far away, that guy is probably so much of an expert that he didn't even think to really, you know, cover that, because the camera was so far away you can't really see it very well. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of tighten that up. And of course, by now, you would have already cleaned your rifle. You would have already lubricated all the parts. You know, checked for rust and things like that, which I'm going to be doing, just not today, because I still need to go buy a proper cleaning kit. Alright, so there's that. And then the next piece that I'm going to put on is basically the ammo box here. And, you know, again, it's pretty obvious. You'll notice that there's like a rounded curve here on this side. You'll notice there's like a rounded curve. So just examine your ammo box. You'll see that it's got more of a straight corner over here on both sides, and then you'll notice that you have like a rounded corner. So, you know, basically just kind of look inside here. You'll notice that there's like some ribs, or there's like a frame, or there's like somewhat of an indication of how you're going to put this in there. And so basically you're just going to kind of pop it in. You'll notice that in the fronter part of the rifle, it's more narrow. And so, you know, it is fairly self-explanatory. Just going to kind of pop it back in there. Okay, and you know, for a second there I tried to put it in this way, and it's giving me a little bit of resistance, so I simply flipped it over so that I have that narrow part on the proper side, and then it just kind of sat right in there perfectly. So, you know, basically my rifle's talking to me right now. My rifle's saying, nope, that's not correct, and then I flipped it over and I'm able to set it in there perfectly. It goes in there smooth, and that's my rifle saying, booyah, you got it, buddy. So basically that's how I'm going to put that in there. So yeah, again, you don't have to be intimidated by your guns. You don't have to be intimidated by guns in general. So I really want to tackle that. So now that I have those two pieces reassembled there, that's when I'm going to bring the stock back in. And I'm basically going to flip the stock over, kind of like that. Well, I'm going to flip it over like this. And so I'm just going to kind of pop that trigger guard in, and everything is going to fit flush. Everything's going to fit perfectly, and that's one of the indications that you'll have that you're doing it correctly. Let me move this little... Oh, and by the way, this right here, let me show you something. This is actually a toolkit that I bought like almost 2 years ago. This toolkit is to build and to replace parts in like a tower computer, for example. And I was able to find the screwdrivers that I needed right here in my computer toolkit. I often use it to make adjustments to my massage table. But I was able to find both screwdrivers that I needed. So, that'll give you a general idea of just how generalized these two screwdrivers are. They're very, very generalized. Almost everybody owns them. And if you don't own them, you can get those screwdrivers for cheap. They got cheap ones at the dollar store. And these are pretty cheap, really. They're nothing special. Sometimes you got to use a little bit of elbow grease to use them. So this piece right here, you're supposed to slide this thing right out. And I will eventually do that. Right now, it's actually on there really, really good. And I want to wait until I get my cleaning kit because I want to make sure I lubricate. And when you actually get it, when you look at it, it's pretty obvious how it's on there. It's really not that complicated. It's hard for me to really show you, but this thing is on there tight, and so I want to wait until I get my cleaning kit, and then I will take this part off here, and then make sure I lubricate it real well, clean it, and then that way when I put it back on, it's not such a pain in the ass for me to take it off next time I want to clean my rifle. But for now, I'm just going to kind of close that ammo trap as if, it's on the rifle already. And then I'm basically going to just kind of drop that in there. I think it's kind of funny because, this right here to me is like guts, basically. It's like my trigger guard has some guts. Hello, everyone. My video basically stopped itself, so now I'm going to continue what I was doing. So yeah, I've got my guts of my ammo, my trigger guard here, my ammo box guard here, and I'm basically gonna just kind of, whoops, I was doing it the wrong way. See, if you do it the wrong way, you'll eventually catch yourself. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of pop that in there just like that. Alright, and then, so like I said earlier, we're gonna put the short screw in the front here. Of course, the butt of your rifle, that's the back, so that's pretty self-explanatory. If you've seen any kind of decent action movie, that's pretty simple. And you can screw it down by hand for the most part, just to kind of get it in there. And then, so I'm going to use this screwdriver to go ahead and just kind of tighten it up. Just like that. Bada bam, bada boom. And of course, like I said earlier, I've already got my firing pin back into the bolt here. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and flip this thing back over. And, what's nice about this is, again, there's only one way that you could put that in there. There's only one way that it's going to fit. So, you're only going to be able to put it in there correctly. So you don't have to worry about that. That's one of the things that I've learned about every gun that I've used so far is that if you don't do it right, it's going to stop you. So that you can, you can backtrack and figure out where you messed up. But there we go. So now the rifle is reassembled. Everything's good to go. I'll probably play with the scope a little bit and adjust it. Make sure that it's tailored to me. Figure out how to do that, but that's it. Pretty much good to go. That was a dry trigger pull. Let's reset it. See that? And of course, in the video, when you lubricate your bolt there, the guy explains that you're going to want to, basically pull it in and out, a few times, because that'll take the oil and it'll just kind of spread it out evenly. See that? So at this point in time, it's good to go. I think I may have set a new record here in terms of video duration. So hopefully YouTube will let me upload it. Hopefully I didn't breach any type of, like limits. But yeah. So I've got my all black, which is really, I like my guns all black, but I don't mind a little bit of silver. And I actually do have some silver on there. But yeah, so there's my Vanguard, my Weatherby Vanguard Series 2. 7mm Remington mag, and I've got my rifle case here that I got from Walmart, and of course I got this cool little sling from Walmart as well. Thanks for watching. MassageBF.com, Sunday, December 6th, 2015. Have a nice day.